Namaskar and welcome to Indian Diplomacy, a new show designed to bring to you viewers understanding of how India deals with the world, how India builds partnerships, how it relates to other countries, not only for mutual benefit, but for regional and global security and prosperity. This is a show about India's role in the world, one country by episode. We are going to dissect India's bilateral ties with a variety of countries, small, big, near and far, and in the process get you to understand what India's vision is, what India wants to accomplish in the world, and how it is a responsible stakeholder in the international order, how it is a rising power with responsibility. And in the very first episode of Indian Diplomacy, we are looking at a country that's very dear to India's hearts, right next door, a very crucial partner, more than any other strategic partner, deeper than any other strategic partnership, as our foreign secretary says. This is Bangladesh. India-Bangladesh relations transcend almost all language or any kind of words that you can put to explain the significance of this. Very, very central to our diplomacy. And the reason being geography, history, and also contemporary dynamic diplomacy. So we're going to be looking at India-Bangladesh relations in entirety, all its aspects, and explain to you why it's so important. And joining me on this journey is a very special and distinguished guest, Ambassador Pinak Chakravarty. Ambassador Pinak Chakravarty served as India's High Commissioner to Bangladesh, and before that was also Deputy High Commissioner to Bangladesh. Nobody better than him to help us understand the importance and the extreme strategic and other value of India-Bangladesh relations. So thank you, Ambassador. Thank you so much for joining us on Indian Diplomacy in its maiden episode.
Thank you.
And Ambassador, when we talk of Bangladesh and India, it is the pillar of our neighborhood first foreign policy of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, pillar of Act East policy, and in many ways like the crown jewel of India's role in its neighborhood. And there's no better example than Bangladesh, and the way the strategic relations have risen to a higher level, it's unprecedented. And we would like you to please start by talking about the historical value of this relationship, because when we say India-Bangladesh, you go back to millennia. I mean, the people of Bengal, undivided Bengal, were the same people. You are Bengali yourself, and and then coming to the 20th century, you have some major figures of history of both sides who have been inspired by each other. Qazi Nazrul Islam, the national poet of Bangladesh, took inspiration from Rabindranath Tagore. Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the founder of independent Bangladesh, was heavily inspired by India's freedom struggle, Mahatma Gandhi and all that. So we'd like you to reflect please on this historical basis which make this such a special and one of its kind relationship, Ambassador.
Well, indeed, it is a civilizational connect across the template of civilization. Call it language, cuisine, culture, everything. Only the religious part was what brought about partition. But even before partition, I think many of your viewers would like to probably know that a united Bengal in a confederacy with India was also mooted by not just the leaders outside Bengal, but I think many of the Bengali leaders of that time mooted it. But of course it didn't happen, and in fact there is a very, very, very interesting episode of a letter being written by these leaders to Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, who said that he had no objection to a united Bengal provided it remained within the Union of India. So that was the end of it in that sense. Anyway, partition happened, and then East Pakistan became a reality. But even then, people noted that East Pakistan was separated from West Pakistan by over 2,000 kilometers of Indian territory. It was a bizarre construct of a nation in that sense. The two wings are separated by such a long distance. And even then it was speculated that whether this East Pakistan will ever remain with West Pakistan. There was speculation even at that time. Anyway, then there was this journey of East Pakistan, and then the East Pakistani people suddenly realized that although they were in a majority in the country, almost 56%, Yet everything went to West Pakistan. The funding, the capital was there, the army, bureaucracy was dominated by the West Pakistanis. And the East Pakistanis, or the Bengalis, did not get much chance in the upper echelons.
Second-class citizens.
They soon became and felt like second-class citizens. And it happened very early. By 1948, when Jinnah wanted to impose Urdu on the Bengali population, there was almost a revolt. That why Urdu? Why not Bengali? Because Bengali is our language. So it was rooted in Bengali nationalism. So that was the seeds of those.
And India's intervention, support for the liberation struggle, of course, is etched in everyone's memory. 1971 war, and that's how Bangladesh came about. And 50 years have passed since that seminal moment. And India sacrificed soldiers. Thousands of Indian Army soldiers laid down their lives for the liberation of Bangladesh, and Bangladesh remains so grateful for that. And of course, the guerrillas from what was then called the Mukti Bahini were trained by India and supported by India. So it was actually in many ways an umbilical link that was broken in 1947 but was restored in 1971 in the form of the creation of Bangladesh. But it's not all history. And viewers, although the basis of India-Bangladesh relation rests on glorious shared past and heritage, there's much more contemporary dynamism to this relationship. And to learn more about the dynamism of the contemporary relationship, let's listen in to what the Indian High Commissioner in Dhaka has to say about the ongoing cooperation.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to be part of this important program on India's foreign policy. And thank you, of course, for beginning with Bangladesh. In future, I would say the India-Bangladesh relationship is crucial for both Bangladesh and India's national aspirations. If the relationship and its promise is correctly implemented, at least or correctly realized, at least in substantial measure, it has the prospect of transforming the way the subcontinent functions, in terms of trade, in terms of logistics, in terms of connectivity, but also in terms of the way in which the people of South Asia relate to each other. So the India-Bangladesh relationship carries with it the potential for being an exemplar for the totality of our region. That, I think, would make it a particularly special moment if the India-Bangladesh relationship succeeds, as it is currently doing. I would also say that the success of the relationship has a transformative impact, not just in terms of foreign policy or foreign security policy, but also in terms of domestic security and domestic stability for both countries. Essentially, a Bangladesh-India relationship that is peaceful, cooperative, stable, and forward-oriented, forward-looking, is a relationship that will contribute to peace and security and stability in the northeast and in eastern India. It is a relationship that will also contribute to development, as connectivity and the ties of linkage between India and Bangladesh, severed in 1947 and 1965 thereafter, are re-established. So in other words, it will transform the way the entire sub-region is structured if we continue to get the relationship right. A third major area of consideration for why this relationship is important is what we intend to do and how we intend to take things forward. Today, Bangladesh is already among our top 5 trade partners globally. It is one of the most important destinations for Indian business, and indeed it has the potential for being even more so. It is an important destination for Indian investment, certainly in the automotive and other sectors, and in the energy sector. It is our largest development partner in the world. We provide something like 30% of our development assistance to Bangladesh at highly concessional terms. It is also our largest visa operation, as people-to-people ties have developed rapidly over the last several years. So, in every sense, the relationship between India and Bangladesh is of critical importance to a number of sectors of our own developmental aspirations. Getting that narrative out is very important, as both countries need to invest in getting beyond stereotypes of each other. And through this, more people-to-people contact, more business contact, more movement of young people, more cooperation in sunrise sectors of development and business such as startups, technology platforms, the sort of leveraging of the youth capacities of what are fundamentally two very young countries. These are the drivers that will take the relationship forward.
Drivers that will take the relationship forward. We heard it from the Indian High Commissioner in Bangladesh. Now he is emphasizing, Ambassador Chakravarty, a lot of trade, investment and people-to-people linkages, which is of course the nuts and bolts of diplomacy, right? I mean, it's not just the high politics, and on that front we are doing very well, and it's really a role model relationship with the kind of connectivity that's been built. I'm reminded of Mustafizur Rahman, well-known Bangladeshi economist, who said that India and Bangladesh are just one space with a border to manage between them. You know, vast market, 170 million people Bangladesh, 1.3 billion people of India. If we just combine these, you know, it becomes such a great opportunity which will raise levels of income and standards of living for both sides. And indeed, we have done a lot of work on logistics. That was something that stuck in my mind from what the High Commissioner was saying. And you've been witness to it. You've been helping and shepherding this whole process forward. So, Ambassador, this trade and investment and connectivity, this is really our core strength, which makes this relationship so thick.
Let me begin by saying that I was on the first train from Dhaka to Kolkata, and this was in April 2008. And so that was the beginning actually. And then again the electricity grid connection, the energy exchange, and now we have a pipeline to supply petroleum products. So there has been a lot of, I think, progress in connectivity. Now we are rebuilding all the trans-border nodes that were disrupted in '65. The border infrastructure, the what we call the integrated checkposts, these are all being built now, and some of them are already functional. And this is very important to expedite. A lot of effort and I think a lot of wastage takes place because of the time consumed in clearing goods at the border. So I think trade facilitation is a very, very important aspect of it. We know that we are going to trade even more in the future as the economies expand.
Fifth largest exporter, I mean, you know, buyer of Indian is just quite remarkable, right? And it's within South Asia, among all the countries, India, Bangladesh is like the engine, and really an example for how we can improve regional, you know, intra-regional trade.
Absolutely, and I'll just quote to you one figure that will open the eyes of everybody, and that is Bangladesh exports $42 billion annually. And Pakistan exports $26 billion. Look at the difference, where Bangladesh was and where Pakistan is today. Although these comparisons are not really, you know, sometimes say comparisons are odious. But this is a comparison that opens your eyes, where Bangladesh is today. And that is why India has such a deep, deep interest in furthering these ties, apart from the relationships that have grown through history and civilization, and also the geography. The eastern region, for example, if we can reconnect it like it was before partition, then I think it will help the people of that country. One important factor is that Bangladesh has permitted a cyber connectivity through a fiber optic cable that runs from Cox's Bazar, where the international station is, the cable, undersea cable sort of terminates, to Agartala, so that internet connectivity, which helps banking, which helps everything in the northeastern states, can be speeded up in that sense.
Regional integration is always a key for a rising power to show its influence, and I think India is doing that very admirably with Bangladesh. And there is this whole gamut of relationships that have sprung up. The connectivity, we have bus service, we have railways, we have inland waterways, and we have settled our maritime border dispute with them for oceanic shipping also now to make it easier. So, and the ports are now connected. Prime Minister Modi has the Sagar Mala, the idea of developing India's coast and connecting with all ends of the Indian Ocean, and Bangladesh is very, very critical for the eastern side of it. And clearly the transportation links and all those, we have worked a lot, and it's an example of how diplomacy is necessary to overcome any hesitations or barriers, right, Ambassador? Because otherwise you could have neighbors with very less to do with each other. You know, for example, Pakistan and India, because of their ideological hostility towards India. But Bangladesh is much more open and does not feel insecure to deal with a big country like India. And we have also been, magnanimous towards Bangladesh in settling our land border disputes and the maritime boundary and all these things, in which actually India conceded more than it received, if you go just do an arithmetic. So I think those things, the trust has built up, especially in the last few years, and that is yielding results because there is a push, concerted push by the governments of both sides, and of course the people are also benefiting from this whole the exchanges.
One advantage that our policy towards Bangladesh enjoys is a political consensus within India, that yes, we need good relations with Bangladesh. That consensus wasn't there in Bangladesh till about a decade ago. Ever since Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina took over power or came to power in 2009, she has proved to be a very, very determined sort of an actor, political actor, in furthering this relationship. And without hesitation and without all those insecurities that you talked about, she has proceeded and set them aside in a manner that has really built so much of confidence in the two countries that it is incredible.
Sheikh Hasina, really hats off. I mean, what a leader. And there is a famous anecdote of Prime Minister Modi meeting Sheikh Hasina on the sidelines of UN General Assembly in 2014 and saying, "Aap mujh par bharosa rakhiye," which means just have trust in me. And on the basis they worked out the land boundary agreement to mutual satisfaction. What an extraordinary act of high-level diplomacy. Talking of which, we'd like you to see what the leaderships of the two countries, the President of India, the Prime Minister of India, and of course the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, have to say about how the relationship is evolving with an eye to the future. Let's listen in.
If the first 50 years of our partnership began by surmounting extraordinary challenges that forced a deep friendship between our people, perhaps the time has come to raise the bar even higher. To achieve that, our businesses, our academics, and especially our youth must be motivated to jointly create globally pioneering initiatives in the world of ideas, creativity, commerce, and technology. Our innovators should be urged to find new solutions based on locally appropriate technologies to address our common development challenges. We must urge our thinkers to leverage the power of our own unique success stories to find best-in-class ideas that are relevant in our regional context. Together we can create opportunities for seamless flow of ideas and innovation as we enter a new era of interconnectivity.
हम दोनों ही देशों के लिए 21वीं सदी में अगले 25 वर्षों की यात्रा बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण है। हमारी विरासत भी साझी है, हमारा विकास भी साझा है, हमारे लक्ष्य भी साझे हैं, हमारी चुनौतियां भी साझी हैं। हमें याद रखना है कि व्यापार और उद्योग में जहां हमारे लिए एक जैसी संभावनाएं हैं, तो आतंकवाद जैसे समान खतरे भी हैं। जो सोच और शक्तियां इस प्रकार की अमानवीय घटनाओं को अंजाम देती हैं, वो अब भी सक्रिय है। हमें उनसे सावधान भी रहना चाहिए और उनसे मुकाबला करने के लिए संगठित भी रहना होगा। हम दोनों ही देशों के पास लोकतंत्र की ताकत है, आगे बढ़ने का स्पष्ट विजन है। भारत और बांग्लादेश एक साथ मिलकर आगे बढ़े, इस पूरे क्षेत्र के विकास के लिए उतना ही जरूरी है। और इसलिए आज भारत और बांग्लादेश दोनों ही देशों की सरकारें इस संवेदनशीलता को समझकर इस दिशा में सार्थक प्रयास कर रही है। हमने दिखा दिया है कि आपसी विश्वास और सहयोग से हर एक समाधान हो सकता है। हमारा लैंड बाउंड्री एग्रीमेंट भी इसी का गवाह है। कोरोना के इस कालखंड में भी दोनों देशों के बीच बेहतरीन तालमेल रहा है। हमने सार्क कोविड फंड की स्थापना में सहयोग किया, अपने ह्यूमन रिसोर्स की ट्रेनिंग में सहयोग किया। भारत को इस बात की बहुत खुशी है कि मेड इन इंडिया वैक्सीन बांग्लादेश के हमारे बहनों और भाइयों के काम आ रही है।
The opening of Feni Bridge is a testimony to the Bangladesh government's continued commitment to support our neighbor India in strengthening connectivity in the region, particularly for the northeast of India. In 2010, the then Chief Minister of Tripura placed a proposal before me to build a bridge over the river Feni. He pointed out that the bridge is very important to the business community of India's northeast region for using the Chattogram seaport. We considered the request positively. Since then, the government of Bangladesh has extended all necessary support to the Indian side for construction of the bridge. 10 years later, today, the bridge is a reality. This bridge will be a trading lifeline for the northeast of India. As you all know, Bangladesh has already allowed the use of Chattogram and Mongla ports for the movement of goods to and from India. Now, with the opening of the Feni Bridge, movement of goods between West Bengal and the landlocked Indian northeastern states can take place through Bangladesh. Earlier, the nearest seaport for Agartala was Kolkata, which is over 1,600 kilometers away, whereas today Agartala's nearest seaport is Chattogram and the distance through Bangladesh is less than 100 kilometers.
That's how we are bridging the gap. That's how we are reducing, the distances even further. It's a remarkable journey, and you see how the leaderships of both sides are talking about pragmatic cooperation that will bring about a transformation not just for the two countries but for the whole region, because this has linkages to the rest of the Southeast Asia, which takes off from the eastern part of Bangladesh. And the more you think about this whole region as one limitless landmass, then you can see the potential coming. Ambassador Chakravarty, Prime Minister also mentioned, apart from the connectivity, an important issue which is always important for security in this region, the threat of jihadist extremism and fundamentalism and terrorism. And the governments of Bangladesh and India have been cooperating on a variety of fronts, intelligence sharing, security and all these, to keep a tab and to control this menace. So even for security and from a geopolitical angle, the Pakistani factor always tries to play spoil sport in Bangladesh, and there is that element. So how do you think going forward, your thoughts on how we can also secure ourselves better through closer defense and other forms of cooperation?
Well, one thing one has to say, that there has been a rise of Islamist groups in Bangladesh. And they did cause a lot of damage, killing innocent people, etc., because they thought that, some blogger was killed, and there were some foreigners also were killed. Then there were sort of bomb blasts and other killings. But I think Prime Minister Hasina understood very well that these forces need to be curbed. And I think she cracked down very heavily on these forces. And today I think they are more or less eliminated. But then let us not underestimate the other Islamist factors who may not be armed, but who can also be violent.
Yes.
And we saw that recently during the last Durga Pujas.
There have been some unfortunate
there were
incidents.
unfortunately some communal disturbances, and so these people are very much there and active. They get international support, and one of their major supporters has been Pakistan, which is not very happy with the fact that Bangladesh is so friendly to India. Because for Pakistan it has been ideology only. Ideology has trumped pragmatism.
And religious hatred. So India-Bangladesh cooperation really is transcending these factors. Language and culture are far thicker than religion, and that's what we are proving through this special relationship. There's also the China factor. The China wants to play a bigger role in Bangladesh, but Sheikh Hasina has been a very strong advocate for the strategic partnership with India. So it's quite clear that this is a kind of a relationship we would like to replicate across the broader South Asian, our extended neighborhood, and all the elements are there. It's been going well, and we will hope that this gathers steam and continues to progress. Ambassador Pinak Chakravarty, thank you so much, sir, for your time. We are out of time to continue this, but viewers, the point is India as a bigger country is handling sensitively a smaller nation, relatively smaller nation like Bangladesh to mutual benefit. It's a win-win cooperation model. We have not really failed the expectations of Bangladeshis. Bangladeshi people as a whole love India, and the relationship continues to climb higher peaks. And I think the sky is the limit in terms of trade, in terms of connectivity, in terms of people to people, and yes, in terms of cracking down on terrorism. So on all these fronts, this is a multifaceted relationship and a role model for Indian diplomacy. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again with another country next time when we have Indian diplomacy back on air. Thank you, Ambassador. Thank you, Ambassador, for being
Thank you very much.